everyone, welcome to our channel Link Frequency and I'm Aishwarya Pattar. We will proceed further with our course that is Artificial Intelligence for Absolute Beginners. We will be discussing about supervised learning and its workflow. We will also look into the various algorithms that are part of the supervised learning. Then we will move ahead to discuss about the pros and cons of supervised learning. Lastly, we will conclude by looking into the challenges that are faced by the supervised learning algorithms. Without any further delay, let's get started. Alright, we are on our screen. I hope the screen is visible to all. So today we are going to cover the supervised learning in different steps. That is, firstly we will deal with the introduction part. We'll exactly know what supervised learning is, and then we will also understand the workflow, the different steps to achieve this supervised learning, and then we will move on to the algorithms which are there in supervised learning. And then we are going to discuss about the merits and demerits of using this particular machine learning. And then lastly, there is one bonus point which we are going to discuss. So keep watching this video till the end to know that bonus point. So without further delaying the things, let's get started now. So if you remember my first video on machine learning, you could see that we already had discussed about machine learning and its types. We basically spoke about the 4 different types of machine learning, out of which supervised learning is one of them. So supervised learning is a subcategory of machine learning. So when you hear this word supervised learning, I think the first thing that strikes your mind would be like something is under supervision. Like for example, if you consider a kid is being trained under the supervision of a teacher. So a similar thing happens over here also. Here we are going to train the machine under the supervision of a certain person and with the help of a training data which already has a labeled in it. So what exactly here we are going to do is we are going to collect the data and we are going to label the data for our training purpose. Then by doing the labeling, now we are pretty sure that what the outcome would be. So at the end result we are already known. So for example, if you consider an example, if you are trying to take the supervised learning and you want to categorize image as a cat or a dog. So we already know the outcome to be either cat or a dog, and the input would be the features, for example the shape of the cat or the color and different things which come as part of feature. So based on these features the machine tries to learn, and after learning it creates a model, and this model is now capable enough to predict if any other data is given or fed into the system to this model. It is able to predict whether that image whichever is fed is either cat or a dog. So this previous learning experience helps us for any unforeseen data to be predicted based on our desired output. To talk about the exact definition of supervised learning, so supervised learning is type of algorithm that uses or it learns from a training data set to predict an outcome which is already known to us, and if there is any unforeseen data whichever is fed to the system, it is able to predict the outcome for that as well. So this comes under part of supervision, and it is kind of a learning process which happens iteratively. So to get a very better and accurate model, you have to train the model in such a way that it is capable enough to predict any image whichever is given later point of time. So now let us move on and try to learn about the workflow, how this supervised learning works. In our previous video, we had discussed about 7 different steps which are very important to get a successful model in machine learning. I hope you remember those 7 different steps. If you are not able to recognize or remember those different steps, I'm going to give the description link over here, and you can just watch that video and come back to this video so that you have a better understanding and understand it much better way, so that whatever is explained will make sense to you after the video. Coming to this point, talking about the workflow, what happens is our data is already it is already prepared, and we are also having the labels for that data, and this set of data is used as a training data to our model. Now the model has to be given certain algorithm, right, for it to process. So that algorithm we are going to select based on, there are different types of algorithms which supervised learning supports. So based on our problem statement, we have to select the best suited algorithm. So once the algorithm is selected, the model is having the process of training. And once the training is completed, you can always evaluate that model to how much % of accuracy it is able to give you at the end if there is any unlabeled data fed to that model. So, to be more clear, what happens exactly is here we are having our training data. And this training data along with a particular algorithm is fed to the system, and the system ultimately results to a model. Consider we will name this model as ABC, alright, as of now, ABC. Okay, so now we got a model out after all the training process. So now what we will do is we will take any particular image and we will feed to this model. This image can be anything. If you are trying to categorize it either a cat or a dog, you can feed that image to this model. So once the model takes that image, it will try to categorize whatever image you have given based on its previous learnings, based on the feature learning and all. It's going to predict whether the new set of image whichever is fed is either a cat or a dog. So this is what the supervised learning model does. So in order to achieve this step, right, you have to make sure that your 7 steps of machine learning, which we had discussed in our previous video, you follow each and every step very carefully. Why? Because if you miss or if you have any errors in your initial steps, that is during the data preparation step and data collection step, if you have collected any irrelevant data, that irrelevant data will make your model to lower the efficiency of the model. So because of the data is not appropriate, you can end up into a model which is not able to predict your desired output. So in order to avoid that situation, be careful in the initial steps itself, and if possible, try to relook into the initial steps to check if there are any human errors and rectify them, and then proceed to the next steps. We will understand each and individual workflow of supervised learning, whichever we have to follow. Those 7 different steps of machine learning are a must. So what supervised learning we have to focus majorly is we have to have the training data with the label, right? So the labeling also should be fed to the system. Then we are going to select an algorithm. See, since you have already done the process of data collection and data preparation, now you would be knowing your problem statement to a better extent. Okay, after knowing that, you would also be knowing whether you want to have a particular outcome. So based on that, you're going to select the algorithm over here. There are different types of algorithm. We will just see into those algorithms in just a few minutes. Okay, after the algorithm is selected, we will go to creating a machine learning model. And once the model is ready, we are going to test the model. So testing can be with your testing data set, or you can have any unforeseen data set also which is not labeled, and you can feed into the system and the output would be given. Okay, after the workflow, I think you might be wondering, what are the real world examples for this? Where exactly the supervised learning is being used? I'll try to give you one best example. Okay, when I hope you have used Netflix, and if you have not used Netflix, it's okay, not a problem in that. So the persons whoever have used Netflix would remember that whenever you were the first user, you were asked to give 3 different choices, right? So based on the choices, it would recommend you certain set of recommendations so that you can watch those series or any of the content. So how exactly this happens is it is going to take the help of this supervised machine learning algorithms behind. So whenever based on its previous historical data, the model has learnt it. Whenever if the person selects certain sort of categories, the model would recognize those categories and give a related recommendation to the people. So that for example, if a person A had given same sort of inputs as you have given, and that person has watched certain set of series, for example, so those kind of series would be recommended to you as well, because the model had learned that based on these categories, these are the things which people are preferring to see. So same thing would be recommended to you. So here again the model is trying to use the supervised learning in the backend. Now let's move on to next thing, that is types of algorithms which are available for our supervised learning. Before looking into the algorithms, like whichever are the algorithms that are available for supervised learning, let us try to understand the types first. So there are two types, that is one is regression and one more is classification. So based on your understanding of the problem statement, you can select any one of the algorithms which fall under these two categories. Okay, we will understand them much better. Firstly, regression. Regression is kind of a predicting a continuous value. So whenever you want to predict a continuous value, then you can use this regression. So here continuous value, since it has been involved, then that means that input and output is having some sort of relation. Okay, so you have to understand that and you're going to predict the required results. So continuous value here, it can be related to something like a weather forecast or even market trend or even your salary, age. All these come under regression type of category. Then moving on, we have classification. Alright, classification is predicting a class or a discrete value. For example, if you want to categorize into yes or no, 0 or 1, those sort of things fall under this classification category. So each of these two types have different types of algorithms. So whenever you have analyzed your problem statement well, you would know whether you have to apply a regression algorithm or a classification algorithm. So that is why your initial steps of analyzing the data becomes very important, because if you go wrong in selecting the algorithm, then your process, the process of getting a model and all, it would be of, wouldn't be any much importance later on, and you have to again go back to step 1 and rectify it and then rebuild the model. So in order to avoid those steps, be careful and follow each and every step individually. So now let us look into the algorithms that are available as part of the supervised learning. So there are many types of algorithms. So few of them I have listed here. Okay, those are decision tree classification, random forest classification, logistic regression, polynomial regression, support vector machine, and linear regression. So these are few of them which I have listed, which are very much popular and we have been used as supervised learning algorithms. So alright, we will not go into in depth of these algorithms as of now in this video, because the main motive of this video is to understand what supervised learning is, its different types and its pros and cons. So we will stick to that, and based on these algorithms we will try to cover in other sessions which we will be taking up in future. As rightly said that everything has two faces, like it can be a pro or a con. So we have to know each and everything, either it be in pros and cons. So in order to understand the model well or understand that particular thing very well. So now let us understand what are the pros and cons of using a supervised learning. Okay, we will begin with a positive thing, that is we will go with the merit first. Yeah, coming to the merit part of supervised learning, the first and foremost merit is that the model is going to learn based on its previous experiences and predict the type of output for any unforeseen data. So this becomes a major advantage to us. So you are going to train the model in such a way that no matter any real world example or a problem is fed to that model, it is capable enough to give you the output of end of the day. So that becomes one of the major merits. So model can predict the output on the basis of its previous experiences. So previous experiences counts for this model. Alright. Okay. Next, it helps you to resolve various types of real world computation problems. Okay. Coming to real world computation problems, one of the example I already gave you with respect to Netflix. So there are many other examples which you can see in your day-to-day life where supervised learning is being used. So in order to explore more, you can just explore the real world examples in this category. To address few, I will give the examples over here. The first one would be the image classification. So in computer vision, this is a major thing which has been focused. So the image is going to be classified with a proper label. So here, supervised learning is being used. For example, I spoke about cat or a dog. So that image classification is one of the problem where you are trying to solve that problem using the supervised learning model. Then coming to the another best example would be spam detection. So everybody of us are using emails in so much way that it has been a very necessity of our life. So out of which the spam things, you want to avoid that, right? You don't want to spend your time into looking all those files or mails and waste your time. So in order to avoid that, the spam detection filter also works on supervised learning. So based on few labeled tags, it is going to categorize into whether it is a valid email or a spam email. So that becomes one of the real world examples. Likewise, there are many. If you see the weather forecast and all, it also goes with respect to supervised learning. Especially it takes algorithms from regression, because weather forecast belongs to a continuous thing, right? So continuous numerical values are involved in that. So there you're going to use something related to regression type of algorithms. Alright, so these all comes under the merits of supervised learning. So let us move on to what are the actual demerits of using a supervised learning. So first and foremost thing would be the collection of data and preparing the data. You have to be very cautious while doing this, because any irrelevant data would reduce your efficiency or also would reduce the accuracy of your model. At the end of the day, if the data is not proper, your model is also not going to be proper and you are not going to get the desired output. So it becomes very important that you follow the data preparation and pre-processing stages very well, and this becomes a very challenging thing because huge data is involved over here. So moving on, since you're training the model, here you're trying to make the system learn through the inputs whichever you're going to give. So training that model, the amount of time involved in that training is huge. So the computation of that time is very huge, and it becomes a slightly disadvantage factor of using supervised learning. So alright, we will look into what are the things listed over here. The model is not suitable for handling complex tasks. Yeah. As it is self-explanatory that these type of supervised learning you can do to some extent. To best example is for learning. Whenever a child is learning something, it is going to learn under the supervision of a teacher. So the teacher is going to teach the simple things. For example, whenever you were in your pre-primary schools and all, you were taught about simple things like the alphabets and all. You were not taught about writing an essay and all, right? So here exactly the same thing. Here the model is only able to classify simple things, and if it is given a very complex activity, it is very difficult for it to categorize. So it is not suitable for handling complex tasks. And time needed to do this supervised learning, it requires a huge computation time, and also data preparation and processing time is a very big challenge, because you have to collect relevant data, and also you have to clean that data and make the training data well prepared with all the labels and all given properly. And yeah, because of the relevant data, we are actually having the efficiency to a greater extent, and if the data is not irrelevant, and obviously the efficiency is going to be decreased. So this were the demerits of using a supervised learning model. So as I told that there is one bonus point which we are going to discuss towards the end of this video. So here it is. We are going to see into the challenges. What are the different types of challenges this supervised learning is going to bring us? I hope everybody likes to take up challenges and all, right? So we will look into what are the challenges we are going to face by using this supervised type of learning. Okay, so first and foremost thing would be the data collection and data preparation. Since you are going to train the model, right, the data should be up to the mark. So that process is going to be a very challenging process. No doubt the next step of training the model would be slightly easier for you, but the first two steps are going to be very difficult since you're trying to fetch some data which you are actually making sure that the data would give you a desired output. So that would be a major challenge. And secondly, the thing is with respect to supervised learning is that it is time intensive, because each and everything you are doing it step by step, and you are trying to guide the model or train the model step by step so that it learns from its experiences and it becomes capable enough to predict for further unforeseen data and all. So that becomes the major challenge of using supervised learning. And yeah, next challenge would be with respect to data set, the training data set whichever you are having. Since a human is going to prepare or collect those data, there would be some sort of human error. I'm not telling that it's going to be there all the time, but sometimes it's going to reflect that because of some irrelevant data being taken and all. So yeah, in that situation, the algorithm is going to learn everything in a wrong manner and ultimately give you a result which is again not according to your output whichever is desired. So that becomes a very big challenge, and if that is the scenario, then you have to go back to your step 1, rectify the step 1, and then again follow the steps again, and also again try to train the model again. So it becomes like repetition, a time intensive process. So next challenge would be like here you have to you have to be very sure on what type of labeling you are going to give. Unlike in unsupervised learning, what happens, the model itself, it tries to categorize or cluster different things based on the observations it's going to make. But in supervised learning, it's not like that. You are going to give the output already to the system. For example, if you are trying to categorize an apple or orange, you already know the output, that it should be either an apple or an orange, right? And based on the feature, the model is going to learn. Features may be like something related to the color, the size, and the weight, and other different features whichever you're going to consider. So you have to make sure that these things are up to the mark. So here the effort from the person who is going to train the model is more, and that person, whoever is training, should be an expert. Why? Because if he's an expert and if he's able to judge what type of labels to be given, then it becomes a very good process, or it becomes an advantage to the person and also the advantage to the model ultimately, whichever we are going to fetch. So it requires certain level of expertise to structure the algorithm accurately, and also it doesn't have any clustering in it, so it has labels which are already known to the system. So yeah, these are the different challenges. These challenges are faced by everyone whoever is going to opt for supervised learning, but these challenges can be overcome by following the 7 different steps of learning machine learning algorithm precisely and without missing any of the steps. So in this video, I think everybody is clear about the types of supervised learning, what exactly supervised learning is, what are the pros and cons of using this supervised learning, and lastly, what are the different challenges a person can face if he's trying to go with the supervised learning. So these were the things which were discussed in the video, and if you have any query or if you have any question related to these things, you can always comment below in the comment section, and we will try to answer your question as soon as possible. I hope you could enjoy the video and also understand the concepts of supervised learning. If you like the video, do share it with all the machine learning enthusiasts. Tune yourself to make a difference.